some soccer!
Championship. By the time we turned pro, we were in League Two.
Oh, mate. So, it was probably all them bacon sandwiches they used to have. Tell you what, Northie, when we went to the army camp, on the way to the circuits, absolutely, I want to say that they had a beast. I mean, they battered you. Northie was having bacon sandwiches on the way there.
Right, we'll save this. We need this in, Alex, don't we?
I've already
got to want a Mackey's on the way.
Honestly, God, we're all on our breakfast about an hour early because otherwise you're going to be thrown up. Northie's eating it, but about 2 yards, 3 yards away from entering the place where we were just going to go and do it. He's having a big giant bacon sandwich. He said, "Oh, what are you doing?" They're like, "Oh, yeah, I can't eat all that proper food in there." Proper food? You know what I mean? He wouldn't eat proper food. He had to eat crap, pizzas.
Alex, get recording.
You know what? I'm not even going to try editing that. That's brilliant. We are joined by the legend that is John McDermott. We thank you everyone for sending your questions in. We're going to have a chat with him apart from Danny North's diet or lack of. Hey, let's be honest, Danny North's diet was not a well kept secret at the club. No. The only surprise was during a set piece he didn't hop over the boards to grab a cheeseburger at some point.
You'd be lucky to get over
it. So thank you very much. We'll have a chat and then we'll go through it. I'm joined by Ian, Bruce, Henry, and Scott is on as well. Scott, are you just listening in? Are you coming on? I'm watching his mute button.
I'm just eating my tea.
Okay, fine. Anything good?
Pasty with veg and gravy.
Okay.
Oh, it's Danny North on.
Hey, the Carby, he wouldn't have had his pasty.
He wouldn't have had veg. So brilliant. John, thank you so much for joining us. We will start it off, as I said, with the question that was sent in to me anonymously. It is from a Mr. S. Livingston of County Durham, who said, "Can you ask Macca if he ever really did get over the fact that his school, St. Anthony's, always finished runner-up in the league and cup to Springfield, or at then time Kedome, for 5 years?"
That's Liverpool. That is Liverpool. Because he used to go to Keldon. Yeah, we did actually. We used to always come second. But what it was there was like, we were a big Catholic school on top of the hill, and there was 3 Protestant schools at the bottom. And what they did is they had some good teams, but we were the best. I still think we were the best. We had the ultimate best side. But what happened was they joined up together. The 3 schools, or 2 of them, joined up together. So Springfield ended up being with another team called Southlands, which then ended up being called Keldome. So they had a good team, but between the 3 teams, they were all Middlesbrough boys. You know, like we all played for the county side, and we had about 6 in our team, and the rest of it was joined into them. But the last year we beat them, we won the league at their place as well. So that's one thing he hasn't mentioned when it really counted.
the one that everybody remembers.
That's the one.
So you obviously were born within the same. Were you in the same year group? You were both born 69, weren't you? Oh no, you'd been a year.
Yeah, we were both the same age. We were mates. We were mates out of football.
So you came up against him quite a lot.
Yeah. And then on the Sunday League side, we played for the same Sunday League team, you see.
Yeah.
From the age of 12 onwards, all the way up to 16. And then, but like I say, after school, we went to different schools, but as soon as we sort of finished school, we'd meet up afterwards, you know what I mean? Out of school, we were best of mates. And then when I was 16, I come to Grimsby, he went to Coventry. And then, and then we'd go home at the weekends and meet up again and whatever. He's been to Grimsby, I've gone down to see him and stuff. And then he got to move to Chelsea, from there, then Chelsea. And then we brought him back. And he had a couple of different offers to go elsewhere, Livo did. But he decided to come to Grimsby because I was there, just to mates and that.
Oh, that's brilliant.
So, yeah, great. Like, still talk to him now, still making phone calls and stuff. So yeah, he's coming down to this Legends game that we've organised and stuff. So we got to see him again.
Did you both play in the same positions you do now then? Or were you a Starlin forward or Livo?
I was a midfield player. I was centre mid, and Livo was a striker. I used to make him for Livo. Livo used to just stand there and pop him in. He didn't really run around that much.
Not much has changed.
No, just to be fair, I'm joking there. To be fair, Livo was a really hard worker. He could definitely put a shift in, and he scored different goals, right foot, left foot. He was prolific, and he would get about 40 goals a season easily. But then the team only scored 41. But Livo had to be the one who would just got the goals, you know what I mean? So he was a proper fox in the box.
He's also followed up with, can you also ask him about toenail and a coffee cup?
Oh, yeah, disgraceful. Horrible, horrible, man. Horrible. We used to have cups of tea, and we used to make them, and we used to put them down on the table and that. And it's the first time Livo's ever made me a cup of tea. And when I think about it, he was messing about with his feet. And I think what he did is he pulled his old toenail off and dropped it in it. And he went, "Here, I've made a cup of tea." And I was in that much of a shock that he actually made me one. I started drinking it, and there it was. It just started coming up like that. It was like, honestly, it was like raising the Titanic. It was disgraceful. Horrible, man. But yeah, that's the only time he's ever bloody made me one.
So be wary of Steve Livingston bringing you tea is basically the word of warning. So anyone who sees him at the charity game, just stay well away if he comes to you with a cuppa.
Yeah, exactly. Unless he's at the bar, which that'll be another shock.
What, with wallet open?
Oh, wallet? What's that?
We reckon this might be quite a lively do, this one, particularly after the game.
Oh my God. I don't think we'll see the end of it.
This is going to get a higher attendance than any game we've currently got going on.
Yeah.
Well, what did Livo reckon? He was bringing his family down with him. They've
got a great family. But I'll tell you what, some mad cases there, mate. I'm telling you now.
So, Mackie, you were saying... Sorry, guys, go on.
No, go, Bruce, go.
I was just going to say, you said you came down when you were 16, and Livo went to Coventry, and you came here.
Yeah.
Did you? What were you put up in digs, or did I read in your book a while ago that you were quite close to the family that you were with, or you were there a long time?
To start off with, it was just a lady up in, I think she lived on Rawson Street up the seafront there, and I stayed with her for a while, and then I ended up going on to a place called I think it was Patrick Street, just off 8th Avenue. And she was all right. She was not bad. It was just like digs, someone put you in your spare bedroom, whatever. And it was all right. She was okay. But then she left, funny enough, and went to Middlesbrough just as I was settling in. I thought, bloody hell, here we go again. And then it was John Fraser, the physio at the club, said to us, "Look, I'll stick you in hours. I'll ask the missus, see if I can put you in there for 2 weeks." So he goes and asks, he said, "Look, he's all right if the young'un stays here for 2 weeks till the club sorts him out." And she went, yeah, but no more than 2 weeks. Stayed there 9 years. But I think I threw the key away. But no, they were brilliant, and I owe a lot to the family, really, because it's really, really tough, and I can see why a lot of kids or lads don't make it. Coming away from home, and even pros now, like settling in for the first year. They all say the first year is hard to settle in. Well, you try and be 16, settling in a totally different place. It's tough. And them days, you only got 1 year. You didn't get another year to get your second year to settle in. So
did you have any other options then?
No,
becoming
not
a player,
really.
Was Grimsby your only offer?
Yeah, when I was a kid, yeah. I mean, Middlesbrough then came back in because I think they're me and Livo were both at Middlesbrough, which would be like now would be classed as a school of excellence. Then they weren't called them days, it was called Junior Reds or whatever it was. But we were there, and they let us both go. 1 year just before, I think we were about 15 or something like that. They let us both go. And I think what it was they had to have an image for me then. it looked like you had to have the right kit, the right trainers, you had to be smart, and you know what I mean? It was the club image type thing, and we were just from a council estate, if you know what I mean. Didn't have all the brand boots and stuff like that, and the kits and stuff. And I don't think we fitted into what I would class as image. So we left, and like you say, Grimsby came in, and all of a sudden Middlesbrough then had a change of heart and said, look, we want you to come back and, you know, and come back with us, sort of thing. But once I got sort of told that you're not wanted, it was like, not cut my nose off to spite my face, but I just thought, no, you've had your chance. I'm going to go to Grimsby. And Grimsby were on the up then. I think Grimsby were about fifth in the old, which is now the Championship. And I think Middlesbrough were down near the bottom getting relegated. So I thought, well, there's only going to be two YTS lads going to Grimsby, me and Les Thompson of our age group. And I thought maybe I'd get a better chance of getting a pro going to Grimsby than I would say staying with Middlesbrough with 16 other local kids. I might even get kept on. So I chose Grimsby, and I didn't even know where it was, to be honest. I just, you know, I hadn't even been before. I just went round I'm going there. You know, I'm off. So yeah, so that was it. It was good.
So did you play Middlesbrough much then during your career? Was that game that was like one of your big sort of particularly sort of fired up games, or?
Yeah, the big one was when we played them in the FA Cup as well. We played them at Ayresome Park. Big crowd. We was, I think, 4th division with Alan. I think Alan Buckley was in charge. Yeah, it was Alan. And Big Keith was there. And we were 1-0 down. And Northey come off the bench and got, I think he scored both. In fact, he scored 2 goals. We knocked them out. And I think it was right at the end, and I cleared one off the line, went round the back of Paul Rees, and he got loved, and I cleared it. And there was all my mates went, all my family went, all the locals, like from the pub and that, were all there. And I remember going into the local afterwards. Some bloke said, "You're a brave man coming in here," and he ended up getting a sports paper and just sort of sitting there and just shoving it, you know, over my face, like making sure no one recognised who I was in there. And there I was on the back of the paper, like my face was on the back of that paper. So even though I'm trying to hide my face is still there. So, it was a great night, but he was always fired up against Middlesbrough. I mean, it's a big club that I've always liked, obviously as a fan. But for some reason, I always wanted to beat him. You know, I really that was the first fixture I'd look for. I'd want to beat him. It was still sort of proving that point that you made a mistake, even though the people were probably not even there.
Did you play?
I just wanted to prove, I don't know, just prove it to my friends and everyone else that I should have been still there, maybe.
Did you play in the game, Macca, when Cockers was in charge, where Brian Robson had said that they should be beating teams like us, and we beat them?
I think we did. Yeah, I'm not sure. We played a few times, and we played them at home as well, and we always give them a good game. We drew a few times. We beat them at our place. We beat them away. I don't know if we was a little bit of a bogey team for them, but even if we ever got beat, it was only by maybe the odd goal, or you know what I mean. It wasn't big scorelines. It never really give us a good hiding or anything like that.
No, I remember in the early 90s, or sort of early to mid 90s. We, like you say, we beat. I remember beating them with Cockers. I remember going to Ayresome Park and we drew 1-1. And I think we beat them 1-0 as well. Like you say, we generally did well against them, and they were usually at the right end of the table. Yeah.
It was like with all the North East teams, you know, all the big clubs at that time, even when we were like, I wouldn't say we were recognised a big hitter, you know what I mean, like a decent side in the Championship. Everyone just expected Grimsby going to get rolled over, but we enjoyed going to the big games. We enjoyed going to the big grounds. The bigger the crowd, the better we played. And Alan was brilliant with that. He was always about us. It was never about them. When you see teams now, even in coaching, you know, your first couple of days is maybe you're coaching your team to sort of play against their system, play against this is how we're going to stop them. And then the next couple of days will be how we are going to play against them. You know what I mean? So you're seeing their strengths and weaknesses. With Alan, it was never any of that. He never ever did anything on any team. it was just all about us from first day to the last day of training. It was, you couldn't care less. So you should just drop a little portfolio on the table and go, right, that's them. That's their team sheet. There's their set pieces. Look at it if you want to. But if you've got a marker and he scores, I'm coming for you. So make sure you know who you're marking. And that were it. That were it. And we didn't do any corners, set pieces, anything like that. He used to say, well, if you can't take a corner, then you're not even should be here. And he said, if you don't want to read it in their box more than their lad wants to clear it, you shouldn't be here. And basically, he trusted us. And we trusted him. We believed in what he wanted. He believed in us that we could carry it out. And it was just a mutual trust, really. So it was perfect. He used to always say, you should get them things and throw them and say, we're not playing Real Madrid. We're only playing Bolton, or we're only playing Birmingham. You're in the same league. Go on, let's go and have a go at them. If it's a game of football, we're going to be all right. That's what he used to always say to us. You're going to be all right if it's a game of football. And that's how it was.
As a town fan, that's for the last 15 years or so, it seems to be that we're constantly just told how good the opposition are. You know, you like you say, you just seem to worry these days so much about the opponent.
I'm slightly worried that John's and Alan have just culled 2/3 of our squad, saying if you can't take a decent corner, you shouldn't be here. We'd be left with a goalie and a mascot at the moment.
Mate, I'm seeing that in the Premiership. They can't even. It looks like they're hitting the corner with a wet sock. They can't even reach the near post, half of them. And I'm like, you're on about 50, 60 grand, and you can't even chip a ball in. So sometimes you bang your head against the wall when you see all these stars and that. And I think when I'm watching these games, because obviously I'm a right back and whatever, the amount of players that can't even deal with a one-on-one. You know, they can go forward, but they can't defend. They can't defend, and I'm thinking, what do you do through the week? What does your club do through the week? And half of these teams have got defensive coaches, and I'm thinking, I just don't see it. I don't see it. I just don't see defenders being able to defend no more. And it's everything. It's okay when everything's in front of them. Anything down the sides of them or out that, the majority of them are bloody useless.
Maybe those early days on the right wing have set you in stead. I think when you made your debut at Bradford, didn't you? And you were on the right wing, number 7.
That's right. Yeah, I remember. Oh God, one of my best days ever. That was, honestly. It was. All I wanted to do really was come down the tunnel and come out to a crowd, basically. That was my dream as a kid. And coming down, I remember coming down it, and Kevin Moore grabbed hold of me and said, you just do what you've been doing in the reserves. Do nothing else different than that. Don't try and be clever and all of that. I went, I won't, Kev, I won't. You know what I mean? And then the fans were on our right-hand side behind the goal, and it was brilliant. And I just thought to myself, I couldn't care less what the score is today. I've done what I wanted to do. And I was that nervous. The ball come to me from Dave Burgess, played it out wide to me. And I went to trap it, and it went straight underneath my foot, but like up the line, if you imagine. And I sort of, the defender, it was that sort of shock. He thought I dummied it and like done him. And I ran around the outside of him, and all everyone was clapping, going, oh God, what a dummy. And it wasn't a dummy, it was just out of bad control by me. It was shocking. But, I always remember that was my first little bit, and I crossed it in, and I think Mick Lyons headed it somehow, and we nearly scored from it, something like that, and I just thought, right, I've done something good. That's all right. Fans will be all right with me now. And I remember someone saying, who's he? Who's that kid? What's he doing? Oh. And I didn't even know if they knew me or nothing, but I managed to play 13 games that year, and it was it was brilliant, really good. But like I say, I started off as a winger, midfield player, then a winger, and it was only the time Mick Lyons put me right back a few times, to be fair. I played, but even with Mad Mick, they called him then, he used to expect us to be at the right, like far post. If our left back went on an overlap and crossing it, I had to be at the back post. He had that sort of mentality of trying to score goals. People slagged him off and this and all that, but as attacking wise, he wanted fullbacks to be like wingers, overlapping up and down and up, like an old-fashioned wing back. But you had to do both. It was really, it was hard. It was hard playing underneath him.
I think it made me realise as well how long when you started, the period that you were here, that you were still playing with the likes of Kev Moore and Nige and Batchy and that. And then you obviously ended up, 20 years later playing with, 2 or 3 generations down the line of Town players.
Yeah, it's frightening when I see the photographs. I mean, most of them are in black and white. I mean, that's how long ago it was. But when you look back and you see Batchy, Dean Crombie, Bobby Cummins, I played with them, Phil Bonneman, Gary Lund, Emo, all of, and you think, bloody hell. And then you realise, like, yeah, how old am I? Even though you don't feel like it, and then someone goes, oh, there was a game, you get a 19 so-and-so. 30 years ago. You're like, what? 30 years? Bloody hell. And it's frightening, really. But you look back at the football then and the football now, I think it was more football was probably played then. I think more football was actually played than it is now. It's all about strength, pace, get it forward, get it into areas. And they're on about all these academies playing through the thirds and stuff like that. But and now they're set up, and it does my head in. It really does when I see these teams splitting 18-yard box or receiving it in the 6-yard box on the Premier League, and I'm like, and then all of a sudden they have about 6 passes, and then the keeper booms it. I thought, well, you could have done that 5 minutes ago. And even at the low levels, under 21s, 23s, I see it in League 2, and I'm like, well, hang on a minute. When we played for Alan Buckley, we played more football than half of these teams have all put together. And I'm thinking, in one game that is, and you're thinking, we never split. We never did that under Alan. Unless the keeper grabbed it and threw it over someone's head, and I was off, or say Crofty or Gally, it might have been from a cross. But I can't ever remember splitting on the 18-yard box and Aidan Davison or whoever was in goal, dink a ball over a keeper's head into me. I can't remember it yet. We played all that, and we kept 35 clean sheets. So, I just think, I know the game's revolved a little bit and since then and all that, but it's just common sense. Common sense. I think some coaches are just, I don't know, it's mind-boggling half the time.
In fairness, John, that was one of the questions we were going to ask you. Obviously, you've been in and around football for getting on 35 years now, and that we were kind of going to ask you, what was the biggest change you've seen? Would you say that the style is the biggest change, or is there something else?
No, I'd say the style. And I think it's a lot of it with this EPPP, whatever it is, that, from the academies all the way up. I've been in the academies, I've done it, I've coached in it, what you've got to do and what you can't do, There's nothing better than having life skills in any job. And then in football, we used to have pros used to do the School of Excellence and stuff like that. So by the time them kids got to 15, 16, you had maybe Gary Childs or you had whoever was running it at that age group. And they prepared them lads ready to go into Grimsby Town Football Club if Alan Buckley was going to be your next coach or manager. There was no culture shock. There was nothing like that. You were expected to be able to deal with it mentally. And they did. Now, I've gone into a team talk from the first time I got told, and went into a team talk in the academy and said, right, you've got to ask him 3 positives and 3 negatives. And I'm like, what? She says, ask him 3 things what they did well and 3 things that you didn't do well. And that was it. That's all you could do. And when you're asking him, there's some guy writing it down. You're writing his answer down, then he'd go and put it on the computer later on. I thought, can you imagine that? Alan Buckley coming into me and saying, like, give me 2 positives that you've done well. You know what I mean? It's just crazy. I just don't get it. So it's a culture shock that way. And the style of football everyone's trying to copy. I think that sometimes it's jobs for mates, just to create a job rather than just what happened to the good old days where you went, right, you got a manager, assistant manager who took the reserves, and you got a youth team coach. Now you've got 6 or 7 people in an office doing jobs that don't need to be done. The most important thing for me is out on the grass and getting kids coaching and giving them life skills. giving them how to, be people, be men. And then all of a sudden these kids get released at 16-year-old and there's nowhere for them to go. You think, well, you can't come to non-league football because you're not physically big enough, man enough. You can't do it. You can't deal with it. Someone shouting at you, you can't do that. So I just think, academy football and that, it's got its uses, but I don't think clubs should be releasing them till they're about 18. Some don't get scholars. I think you should give these kids scholars and keep them there to 18, 19. And then if they're not going to get kept on, at least then physically they've grown, mentally they're strong enough, and then you can push them into non-league football if it comes that way. I just think at 16-year-old, where do they go? There's no pathway from 16. They're still growing. They're not going to be men till about 18, 19.
It seems to me, John, like one of the big things that keeps coming back is like how important the relationship between the players and the manager is, and it's clear how much like sort of being under Buckley and how close knit that all was. Do you reckon sort of the combination of how coaching is now, and also just the lack of time that managers have, and how high sort of turnaround is at teams now, especially in the lower leagues? Do you reckon that's having a negative impact on the game?
It is. I mean, the big thing is, well, I think what's a major thing for me is that players don't live in the area no more. They don't live there no more. I mean, and then that's a bit of both, really. I think if you get a 2-year contract at any club, you should be expected to move there. Never mind that, I live an hour away. No, live in the area. Live in the area. You're going to live there for 2 years. We've given you the security to live in this area for 2 years. And I think the big part of when Alan had his success in the early years, 91 onwards or whatever it was, all the players lived in Grimsby. All of them. Every single one. And we probably stayed at Grimsby. Majority of the lads stayed there 5, 6, some 10, and some are still living there now. And I just think that creates a bond. It creates a bond with the fans, community-wise. And I just think everyone comes together a little bit more, and they all offer the same hymn sheet. And it just makes the team, the squad, the players, the manager, just have trust in it just works. Alan became a father figure to majority of them players. And I think nearly every one of them will still call him Gaffer. Even I do now, you know what I mean? I still speak to him all the time. And if we ever met him in the street, he'll be, "Hi, Gaffer," or whatever. And the lads would treat him exactly as if he was still in that club. Say, now, if we was there now still, that's the respect that he still demands. Not everyone liked him, but he wasn't there to be liked. He was there to give you style of football and a winning football. And a lot of lads got success from it, or maybe went on to better things from it. Not many went down. And, so I just think, for me, that I think teams or players should commit a little bit more to the clubs. And I just think nowadays, 1-year contracts, a lot of players can't do that because they're thinking, well, hang on, I'm not going to sell my house to come up here for a year. I might be gone. I've got to move my kids up from school. Or I've got this, I've got that. And it's a big factor, like I said to you earlier, first year is a hard settling in period. So if it can, it's a bit of loyalty off both, really.
So on the loyalty front to Alan, were you ever close to leaving in the 90s when he went to West Brom?
No. Alan took all our left-hand side, nearly enough. I think Aggie went. Dave Gilbert went. I think they were older. I think they were a bit older than us. Tony Rees went. And he thought, to be honest, I think he thought the right-hand side at the West Brom at the time was pretty similar to what we had. You had probably Kev Donovan was there. So, where we had Charles, you had Kev. The right back was a decent right back. So he probably thought, I don't need Macca because he's decent. He plays a little bit like John does anyway or whatever. So he thought, if I can get the left-hand side cheaper, which he probably would have done, it wouldn't have cost as much as our right-hand side because we were a bit younger. So he took that and thought, well, if I can get them to play this style of football, West Brom's right-hand side, I'll crack it like. But it just didn't work out for him, I don't think. I think he took quite a few of the players. Groves, he went. I think Sean Cunnington went at one point. Keeper Crotch, he went. Tony Rees, Chris Hargreaves, quite a few, but none of them really stayed there. And then he brought, obviously, when he came back, he brought Kev, and he brought Dave Smith. You know what I mean? People like that. So it's we were never going to go. Alan never really came in for me. But saying that, while he was at Grimsby, he never ever tried to replace me either. So he must have hated us, I suppose.
There was a good question from one of the listeners actually that said, how did it feel having to compete when Alan left and Brian came in? How did it feel to have not only just a player manager, but a manager that was competing for your position as well? Was that?
You know what? People have always asked me this question, and Brian was never a competitor for my position. He wasn't. When he come in, I think the first season he was there, we were playing Wolves, and I got injured on the Friday. I was playing. Brian wasn't involved, and I rolled my ankle on the Friday, and it went up like a balloon, and I couldn't get fit for the Saturday. So Brian had to step in. And thankfully he did, because Froggatt absolutely ripped him to bits. And he got beat for it. And I thought, thank God for that. But I don't think he ever went and played right back again after that. But no, if he did play right back, it was because I was injured. I was never on the bench or dropped because Brian played right back. If I played and Brian played, he played centre mid. Or he might have played on the left, or he might have played centre half. He didn't take my position, to be honest. So I never felt threatened by Brian. Not really, not like that. Anyway, I didn't really think he was ever going to take my place.
I don't want to know how you felt threatened. We'll leave the plate of chicken sandwiches in the dressing room.
Oh God, what a trip! Hey, that weekend was unbelievable, man. Honest to God, because we was going to Whitley with him.
Oh yeah.
Me, Grozy, and Shaky. God, honestly, I had my suitcase in the changing room. Can you believe that? Never been to Whitley in my life. I thought, oh my God. He was taking us to the Milan Derby. We was going to this nightclub all paid for, and this limo, and he had Paluca, the goalkeeper from Italy, and Viali. They were meeting us out. So we asked Brian at the time before the game, can we have the Monday off? And he went, no, because we've got West Ham. We've got West Ham and the replay because we have Luton. Yeah. Anyway, funny enough, we got food poisoning before the Luton game. I was ill. Charlie was ill. Livo was ill. But I thought, I'll be all right, go to Whitley. I'll be all right. Anyway, the game comes on and he comes in, kicks off with the old chicken drumstick, didn't he? He gets laid out. And I'm like, I don't believe it. I wasn't even bothered about if I know his face. I was like, what about the trip?
Is he good enough to fly?
Are we still all right or what? I don't know. So I was picking him up. Come on, Ivan, mate, it's only a scratch. He was laid out, gone. His face was caved in. But I'm thinking, what about this trip? Are we still going or what? Anyway, I had to go back on the coach with me bloody suitcase. Behind me, I know, man.
I have to be honest, John, when you started that, I was a bit confused as to why you were watching the Milan Derby in Whitley Bay, and then it suddenly dawned on me you meant over to Italy.
Yeah. Unbelievable, man. Honestly, nightclubs also. He had an interpreter, and he was telling us what's happening, what we're going to be doing and all of that. And I thought, meeting Viali and all of that. And I said out to Shaky, he said, have you got enough money? I said, what do you mean? I said, well, can you imagine the round with them three? They'll be all buying champagne galore. And I said, I think I've only got enough for about 5 Heinekens. I said, I'll have to get the beers in. I said, I'm not buying champagne all night. But he was saying, no, it's all free. It was all millionaires on Lake Como we were staying. I was like, oh my God. Ended up going to the pier.
Better place, better decision.
Yeah.
Not a lot of difference there, John.
Couldn't even get in. I had to pay to get in there.
Hang on, I'm not having that you had to pay in to get in the pier. That is disgraceful.
No, mate, I'm telling you now, we were the only team ever in the country that had to pay in anyway. apart from Rolly Godfrey or JD's, he let us in for free. The pier were sods. You used to get the front and go like that. You say, oh, left time. So what? Get the back. You should to the back. And that's why I never ever went to the front and asked to go. I'd rather pay. I'll tell him, I said, no, I'd rather pay. I'm not queuing, giving it. I'm the big one. But no, not that anyone even knew me when I was out. I was all right. I could go below the radar. Liverpool was or someone like that would be a nightmare.
And then since then, you've always had to put up with Gary Giles as well on a few nights, I would imagine, as well, John.
Oh, hey, Charles is a legend. Yeah, but he's all right, guys. Like I said, I've known Charles for a long time, worked with him, and it's just like leaving the football club to go with Gats, you know what I mean? But you go out, the only thing with Gats is he's on the old blue wickets, isn't he? He doesn't drink beer, so he's on the alcopops, and he sucks them for fun. And by the time you're trying to get your beer down here, he's like, ding, 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 you know what I mean? He's flashing his little empty bottle, little land bags and that. But now we've had some good nights up there, up Cleethorpes, to be fair. Great night out, great lads over the years as well. Gally and the boys and that, been good.
I think like going back to what you said a few minutes ago, as fans as well, you know, when we were going out drinking, it was nice to see you lads out there. You know, when you go out on a Saturday night, you go and watch the lads on a Saturday, and I've sort of always agreed with you a little bit that I think that if you do get the 2 years, it's, you know, then it's a commitment, but there are so many that just drive home out of town now and they're gone again.
Yeah, I don't think the players realise that, you know, Grimsby. See, when you go into Grimsby, you're coming down the docks or you come and buy Fremont, you see all the boarded shops and you think, oh my God, dive, road to dive. It's actually a nice place. It is. It really is not. I mean, I lived there for 17 years at the time, and I loved it there. I really did. I liked it there, and we had good luck. All my mates that I went out with, funny enough, on a Saturday, were probably not even town players. We're all, you know, non-players. I just met them through the years, and I went out with them, and I'd go to their parties, they come to mine, families, barbecues, all out of football, all my mates. And then what we'd probably do is we'd probably meet up when we go out. If the lads were all out, we'd meet up, and all my mates were welcome to join in, and their mates would come, and there'd be loads of us, you know. And it wasn't like we had our odd day where it was just a lads' night out, you know what I mean? But my mates would be out anyway, and so we'd all meet up. So there was none of that. We wouldn't alienate any town fan. Anyone that came over and chat to us, welcome to stay with us all night. That's how we were. You know, we'd buy beer for them, they'd buy us beer. We were never asking for anything for free from anybody. And I don't think my time, while I've been out, God knows, loads of time, never got into any bother. No bother whatsoever with any town fan, anyone coming up and trying to cause any trouble, even if you had a bad game. Obviously, if you had a stinker, you used your loaf and you never went out. You know, you don't rub salt in the wounds, you just stay out of the way. But, you know, certainly when we had the good times, we wanted to share that with the fans all the time, yeah.
Maybe it's better that they all live away, actually, to be fair.
Yeah. Well, you wouldn't get a night out, would you?
So you never had any instances of Grimsby being a difficult place to attract players then back in those days? It wasn't a location issue. No,
without a shadow of a doubt. And if they came in, I think they went through the airport way anyway, didn't they? Used to take them around the back bit and come through Humberston and all of that, and they all thought it was great. You know what I mean? So, yeah, you live around here, mate. Brilliant. Yeah. Where's the ground? Oh, it's the other end. Don't worry about that. Nice pitch.
That was Russell Slade's one, wasn't it? That bringing him in the back way.
Yeah, without a shadow. That's what they used to do. And that's how you're attracted. But no disrespect, we would like to say at the time, playing good football, we was one of the top sides in the thingy, so we could attract good players. Good players would come because of the manager, obviously, because of the football that we had. You know, we had good, I would say, massive crowds. Before the season, we probably had about 14,000, you know, not bad crowds, 12s. And then obviously when the season come in, you know, it drops down quite a bit, doesn't it? So it's never really had its maximum, I don't think, since all seated stadiums have come into Grimsby, really.
Did the change to seating have an effect on you as players? Did you notice like a drop in atmosphere at that time, and did that affect the team?
I think it did. I think it did. Yeah. Until you've played at Blunder Park when when it was packed standing, and you see the old footage of when you were playing when you scored Exeter, for instance. You know what I mean? And Aston Villa in the FA Cup, when Liverpool and them were playing. I actually went in the pontoon. I went in the pontoon on the side, but before they knocked the sides down, when the sides used to come all the way around, corner bit, all nudge corner, and you just get in there, and I was in that bit there, and it just went mental. But the atmosphere was unbelievable, and sometimes I don't think you realise when you're playing how good the atmosphere is until you actually take part and stand in it yourself. Because when you're playing, you just hear a dull noise. You might hear the odd mariners, but majority of the time you didn't really hear any individuals shouting at you, or not really. You just hear this dull noise, really. So you keep that focus to playing.
So we've had another fan question which links in quite well there. So can you remember any in particular, like any funny shouts from the crowd? Like, what's the funniest thing you can remember the crowd shouting at you?
Oh man, you get me personally, you get the obvious ones, don't you? Like, is your mum that ugly? You know what I mean, and all of that, and then saying, does your mum know you that you're still at school, and all this, all that sort of stuff, because you were small and all of this stuff. But the funniest one I've heard, that it wasn't obviously myself or anything, was Dean Saunders when he was playing at Bradford. He got absolutely battered by some fan. He was torturing it, and because he wasn't playing very well, and this fan said, Dino, he said, disgrace, mate, disgrace. I pay your wages. And as soon as he said that, Dean Saunders turned around to him and said, what? You come in here every week and pay 42 grand? Every week you pay 42 grand to come and watch me play? He went, fair play to you, mate, fair play to you. And everyone just went, woof. Bloke didn't answer back, didn't know what to say. 42 grand. You know what I mean? I just thought, brilliant. Just shot him down in flames straight away. But I've had things thrown from the crowd. I've had things. I remember playing Millwall away, and I scored. And that were a big mistake. Now, at the time, it wasn't at the time, when I had to take a throw-in, I had, them darts, the little small ones, a little big barrel at the end.
Yeah.
Oh, look, one of them went straight past my ear, near enough, but just stuck in there, and right in the mud, I need my boot, and I'm like, oh my God. Then it was 2 pences, 10 pences. It would have been 10 bob, I'd took it, I'd picked it up. But they were just throwing them out, and every time it went out for a throw-in, I was telling Charlie to take it. I said, you take it. He said, why? No, you're going to take it. Because when you went over there, you got spat on, honestly, mate, that was at the old ground, the old Millwall one. What a place that was.
Is that the most intimidating place you've ever played then?
Oh, God, yeah.
Not Bradley's.
No, but honestly, it was, God, you felt, that was horrible. Ireland, we went to Ireland once as well. I think it was Cliftonville. And when we come out, there was just nets from the tunnel over the dugout everywhere. It was like, what's this for? He says, because they throw bottles at you. See what? Fans will just throw bottles at you from England, then they just bombard you with bottles. So this is just to protect you. And it was just net from the stand all the way down. And I'm not kidding you, it was full. This net was full of bottles. And then when we come out, they said, right, we're going to let you out the changing room. We've got the coach as close as possible to you as much as you can. Just leg it. When we say go, sprint. I'm not kidding you. We opened the thing and we belted it straight onto this bus. Honest to God, we got bombarded by him. It was just frightening. Yeah, unreal.
Amazing.
Was that on a pre-season tour then?
Yeah, pre-season. Yeah.
Is that the most memorable pre-season tour you've ever had?
I can't remember most of them because we were always leathered. Honestly, yeah. We went to Ireland with Alan, and he's non-drinker, Alan, you see. He was a non-drinker. And I think we went to Derry or somewhere like that. And they put us above a nightclub. Can you imagine that? Putting us above a nightclub. And so when we used to go up to bed, like, there was a nightclub over the road and one where we were. So we thought, well, we won't take the mate. We can't go to the one below. It might come down. So what we used to do is, when they used to go upstairs, we used to shuffle across. And we were like backs against the wall, sliding underneath like that, and then straight across the road, straight in. And we got absolutely mortal. But we used to be on the Guinness, and we were drunk. I think we must have got in about 4 o'clock. And then we did a running session the next day. Honestly, he ran us for fun. And I remember him, he turned around, I think it was Arthur Mann at the time. I went, you know what, Arthur? I've got a right honest bunch here. And he says, look at these. Look how fit they are. They're flying. It was probably all the iron that we were getting out of the Guinness, mate. I'm not kidding you. We were flying, but we were all absolutely mortal. But we never lost a game, you know. We never lost a game, but I don't think we remembered any of the games that we actually played in. We were still drunk. We treat it like an end of season trip. So, but it was good team bonding, if you know what I mean. It was good. Good.
Did that give you an experience of how Tony Gallimore spent most of his games during the season?
Oh, I'll tell you what, I shared a room with Gally nearly every away trip, and he could have a drink, Gal. He liked to drink, Gal. There was one season we went up. There was 98. The season 98. Me and Gally used to share a room, and on a Friday, we used to say, right, you bring the bottle of wine, because we used to say, we'll have a bottle of wine, it'll help us go to sleep. You know what I mean? So we had a bottle of wine. You bring the cheese and biscuits in that. I said, right, okay. So then we'd win. So fortnight, he'd say, right, you bring a bottle of wine, and I'll bring the cheese and biscuits. Yeah. And then we'd win. And we kept on going, thinking, right, we'll do this until we lose. So, right, okay. Then it became 2 bottles with Gally. We'll enjoy this. If we take our time, we'll take our time. And then there was one day in Gillingham, away, we forgot the wine, didn't we? Forgot wine. I thought I'll bring it. We've got 2 crates or whatever it was with bloody cheese and biscuits, haven't we? So he says, have you ever, he said, I've got a bit of a sniffle. He says, you ever had a hot toddy? I went, hot toddy? He says, it's whiskey and hot water, isn't it? He went, yeah, do you want one? Yeah, go on then. So we've had one. And you know what? It was quite nice. He said, yeah. He said, nice that, wasn't it? I said, yeah. He said, do you want another? He says, yeah. So he says, oh, look. He said, we've got no more of this. He says, can you do it with gin? I said, I don't know. He says, go on again. Go on, we'll have one with gin. Before you know it, we've emptied the minibar. It's empty. It's gone. And don't forget, we're playing Gillingham next day. Got Gillingham. I thought, bloody hell. We were proper half drunk. And we beat Gillingham 4-0. We've beaten 4-0. And we kept 35 clean sheets that year. And we must have been leathered, half of them, on a Friday night. And it was unbelievable. But the best laugh was, we were sat in the bus and we were coming back and we both looked at each other like that. I just glanced and looked and went, we haven't paid the bill. We haven't paid the bill, Gal. He went, oh my God. Well, the bill gets sent to the club the next day, you see, on a Monday. And that Buckley would know then that we've been bloody drinking all this stuff. Oh, no. So we got Tommy Witherington, who lived in Southampton at the time. Tommy was halfway down to Southampton. He had to come back, drive back and pay the bill for us. So otherwise we would have got nervous. But he used to come in the changing rooms on a Monday morning and he'd look at everyone's eye. As soon as he walked in, he could smell beer like a bloodhound. I swear he'd go around everyone's eyes and go, you've been out. And Kev Joblin used to have about, his mouth used to be stuck with all these herbal sweets and that to try and add the beer that he'd either have a beer on a Sunday or whatever. And he'd go, look at the state of you. And honestly, he was like a chipmunk, Kev. Kev would be like a chipmunk with all these sweets in. His eyes bloodshot. Mark Lever looked like a white Japanese fella with his eyes. You know, he was trying to shut his eyes so you couldn't see him. He went, you've been out. But he didn't mind. Alan said, look, if you live your life right, you don't get into trouble, you do it on the right days, as long as you win and you play, you can do, it's up to you. He used to let Tony Rees, he said to Tony Rees, you could drink every day of the week, Tony, if you want. As long as you produce that on a Saturday, you can drink Sunday. You can come to my house and drink all mine and all. So he was fine with it. I think he had a little bit of Cluffy in him, Alan.
It's Kevin. I'm going to say this is Kevin Joblin who asked this question because that's the name we've been given. Would you prefer cinema with Peter Handeside or Italian restaurant with Darren Rack?
Oh my God. Well, unless a pub had a screen in it, Peter Handeside would never be in a cinema. So forget that. You know what I mean? There's no chance you'll be watching the No way. Now, Racky, you could go for something to eat and he'd just talk you to death. He would talk you to death. His meal would be still, he wouldn't get past his starter. I'm telling you now, you'd be finished and gone, and he'd be still there yapping away. But Pete was a good lad, good player, jobbers. There was probably 3 or 4 lads in the club you just didn't get changed next to. And Kevin Joblin was one. You definitely wouldn't get in the shower when them 4 were in. No chance. You'd rather go home sweaty and put your clothes straight back on. It'd be him, Kev Joblin, Mark Lever, Paul Rees was a nut job as well at the same time. And probably, like I say, Chris Hargreaves, them 4, you just stay out of the way. Stay out of the way. Yeah. Not as absolutely. But great lads, you don't get it much in football now. You don't get that.
Oh, that's terrifying.
You still get the banter off. You still get the banter off most of those names on social media now.
Oh, I only spoke to Kev last night. Jobbers, he messaged me on Facebook because we're trying to get this reunion coming, and he says, and to be fair to them all, you know, we mentioned it to them, and they're just like, right, what's it for? Told him, brilliant, I'm coming. And we've got I think it's 3. I think there's a few players from the 80s, 85s, they're coming. And then we've got lads coming from the 90s, 2000, 2010. So there's going to be the biggest reunion you're ever going to see with that amount of different kind of players there at the same time. You'll never get it again. You'll never get it again. You know, loads, absolutely tons. I think there's about 40. Some of the lads are not going to be able to play, obviously, but they still want to come and just to see each other, you know. Some of us we haven't seen each other for about 20 years. But you make a phone call if you've already seen them last week.
I've got a slight worry about we're going to just see all the players from the 80s and 90s stood very disappointedly outside of Papa's fish and chip shops wondering where the nightclub's gone.
Mate, I'm telling you now. I'm telling you, yeah. Yeah, they'll be like, where's the pubs? Well, I'll tell you what, you only need one. You probably won't even get them away from wherever the game's at. But, someone always told me years ago, if you can't play with drink, you can't play at all. And that was John Fraser. I remember him saying that to me. But we were a fit team. Everyone laughs and jokes about Gally having a drink and that. He was a good pro, you know, Gal.
Yeah.
He was very, very good pro. Whatever people might have an opinion of him, he was probably one of the fittest lads I ever knew. He never missed training. He was always available for matches. You got games out of him, and he was very, very consistent player. And rarely did he ever get, taken to the cleaners, Gal. He never did. Good player, like I say, strong, very strong, good left foot. Loved his football, loved the lads, absolutely loved them. He was a proper, good, funny guy. Does a great Mick Jagger impression as well. Good dancer.
I got told his nickname. I got told his nickname at Carlisle was Trigger.
Oh yeah, Trigger. It was talking about Trigger, Christ. It was a different Trigger. This one we had Nicky. Remember Nicky Southall?
Yeah.
Nicky Southall and Alan Powelton. He come and he says, right, what the lads call you then, Powelton? You've got a nickname now. He went, yeah, Trigger. I fancy owning up for that, right? For a start, you don't own up for that. And then Nicky Southall jumped up and went, whoa, no chance. You can't call you Trigger. I said, why is that? He says, you call me that. That's what mine is. I was like, oh my God. You got 2 lads asking about, you know what I mean? I just thought, you haven't got a clue to bury. Thick as black.
Your turn, Emery. I'll let you.
So we just kind of leads on. Pete Michaels has asked, who do you reckon the best player you played alongside Town?
We've had some good ones, mate. We've had some good ones. It'd be tough to single out one individual because, I mean, centre half. I'd have to, because you obviously when you're playing that, you've got all these. You get yourself a little bit of understanding. You get your link up with certain players. Obviously, you right back. You got your centre half, and then you got your winger. And I'd have to say Mark Lieber for me, centre half. We've had some good footballers, like Andy Todd and all of them, class. But for understanding each other's game, knowing where you are positionally, and having that trust of if you ever got caught out, you'd have your cover on or you'd have your back. Was Mark. His understanding of the game was brilliant. I knew exactly where he's going to put it. He'd know where I was going to lay it off to him, and if I laid it off, I knew for a fact he very rarely was going to give me it back. So it was that understanding. Winger-wise, I was fortunate to play with good wingers. Kev, Charlesy, Tommy, Tony Ford, for instance. All good players. Good players. Probably one. I'd say one in my time that I didn't really have that understanding with. That was a wide class as a good player. Really, he might do something magic in the game, and he was rapid, quick. Was Marcel Cass? Remember Marcel Cass? He came from us. I don't know if he was from Sheffield United or somewhere. I used to get it, and all I could see was his backside, just running away from you, trying to run someone away, and then he'd be screaming for it. And if you didn't give him it, which as a right back, the hardest ball to do is when you're running at pace and someone else is running away from you at pace, is to drop it over two people's heads to his feet. Where I always thought the braver players were Charlesy, Tommy, Kev, where they'd stand still and have it and take it off you, willing to take it off you, someone up the backside type thing, trying to win it, and he'd protect it and give it back, movement, and looking to be an option for you. Where I always think the ones who run away, that's a gesture. That's the token gesture of someone trying to con the fans, like, look at me, look, I'm working hard, no, you don't want it. You're running away to take the responsibility. And he was probably the only one I couldn't get that link up with. I couldn't get forward. Everything was long, going from back to front, and it just doesn't work. And I see that sometimes in Town games. It frustrates me sometimes, not just now. In the few games I've seen before, they ignore the short stuff. They ignore all that. They just want to go along quickly, and it bores me.
Yeah. I think we can all agree with that.
Yeah. Do you think there's something with that on confidence of players though as well, John? Obviously, it like you talked about there, it's a brave thing to show for the ball and to come short. Do you think that sometimes it's just because people don't fancy their own ability, whether that's long term or even just at that moment in time?
I just think, for me, when you shorten your game down a little bit, it gives you the confidence because you're not giving it away and you're securing the pass. The shorter the passing, the easier passing, which is side foot. Simply, you're talking basic coaching here, is, your simple side foot passing, it can be secured, it can be taken better, it can be received better, you get players around it more. If you lose it, you're still all close enough to go and win it. So, where if you go back to front, you've lost it straight away. It's a longer running. You're tired when you get it, if you get it. And then the distances between these banks of three or whatever, midfield forward, is massive. And then that's when you get picked off. So I think in football, there's two types of bravery. Bravery, go and put your head in or putting your foot in. That's the easy banner. That's the easy bravery. The other bravery is taking responsibility and being an option for the players. When we do our coaching, me, Charlesy, or when we've ever done it, we've always coached the simple fact is, if you give the ball away, and this was Alan's philosophy type thing, you give the ball away, if it's an easy pass and you give it away, you're expecting a rock or you're expecting a glare, because you should be able to do that. And if you can't do that, then there's a problem. If you give it away because someone's not moved, or someone's not been an option for you, that's the only reason he would say, Grimsby Town, our team will give that ball away if he hasn't got Gary Charles in the right area, or he hasn't got Tony Rees or Livo in that area, or he hasn't got Wayne Bennett Groves in that right area. Macca will give that ball away eventually because someone will take it off him or he'll make the wrong pass. If you're all there, Macca can't give the ball away. He can't give it away. It's an option. It's then that lad's ability to be able to play a 10-yard, 15-yard pass. And we got a rollicking if we weren't there rather than losing the ball, if you know what I mean. So we always say to kids, don't be worried about making a mistake. I won't give you a rollicking for making a mistake. I'm looking for the one in front of you that hasn't moved, that you'll get the rollicking. So all of a sudden the lads were like, well, I've got to go and get it then. I've got to go and get it, otherwise Buckley's going to go mental if I don't go and fetch it. So lads were doing that for you, and all of a sudden you don't lose it. You don't lose it because everyone wants it. And then your confidence comes within that. And I think sometimes in football, that goes amiss. But like you said there, sometimes it is. A lot of players will go and stand next to a player, pretend that they want it. Oh, I'm 2 yards away, I can't have it. You know, that's not being brave. That's like pretending. You're conning people. And there's a lot of that. There's a lot of that in a lot of teams that I see. From throw-ins out wide, and you're thinking, oh yeah, is he on? No, he's not on. Well, he can be if you move away from someone, but you don't. And they can't con me. They can't con me. So, yeah. For me, I just think, you know, being brave, getting on the ball. And I think if sometimes when you're down the bottom, that fear can come into it, that you don't want to make a mistake. So you go hiding a little bit. And I think that's what's happening at times.
The amount of times at the minute that you'll see Town in an advanced position out wide, and it ends up back with the keeper because you've got a guy that's not got forward showing, so it goes back to the fullback, and then it might go back to the left centre half, and then they've not got the options, and then you end up back at the keeper who ends up pumping it up the pitch. It's just so frustrating.
Or he doesn't want to cross it because he thinks if I cross it, the keeper comes and collects it, then I'll look bad. Or he wants to cross it, but there's no one in the box. And you thinking, so then you come back out and you think, well, I don't want to be that one who's going to take the responsibility of making something happen. And that's got to be into your players. That's got to go into your shape. That's got to go into your pattern through the week to say, look, when we get it here, this is it, and we're going to cross it. This is who goes into the boxes, you, and you. And if you're not in, I'm coming for you, or you. And that's what you've got to do. You know, you can't just play off the cuff. It's got to be who goes where, who goes into the box, who goes and out your midfield players backs it up, or if it comes back out, who recycles it again. Where do we go with it? Do we go back out wide and it comes back in, or do we go the other way? And you've got 5 days a week to work on that. Wow, we're doing that 2 days a week. 2 days a week. So what can you do with 5? There's no excuses. Now, people can turn on to it's a manager's tactics, manager's this. The players have got to go and carry it out. I've been a manager where you've worked all week and then you don't see it. You think, we just worked on that all week. Why aren't you doing that? So then that is the players then. That is the players. That's the ability of the player. If the manager's giving them roles and responsibilities to do and they're not doing it, then you've got a problem. And then all of a sudden you're changing your team because that player's not doing what you're asking him to do or what he's been worked on all week. So you change it, but then it's a horrible cycle again, isn't it? Because what happens if the next player doesn't do it, and then you're back and you're chopping and changing all the time, then your formation changes. And I think that's what's happening at Town at the moment. I think he's caught between 2 stones in a way. Does he want to press? Does he want to press high up and keep teams pinned in? So then there's no threat, you know, to concede goals. If they go long from in their own final third, can we head it straight back because it's not going to reach? Or do we sit out of it and try and defend it that way because we haven't got lads up front who can press? So then you get caught and you get beat and you concede a goal and you think, well, how do we score a goal? So I think he's caught between 2 stones at the moment.
Just on different managerial styles, John, just getting back to your playing career, how much did you have to adapt to play under someone like Russell Slade, and were you comfortable in that system? Because it was sort of towards the back end of your career, and did you have to adapt your game anyway at that point?
Yeah, Yeah, I always remember a pre-season game. We had one team 1 half and one team second half. And the first team that went on played like Russell wanted. You know, really, I want you to get it, hit it long, come back. It was rather up, back and through. So you hit the big man, he'd drop it off to number 10, saying he'd slide a winger in or the wide player in, and I get that. And we came on second half. The other team come on second half, and it was Brig away. I remember it so clear. And I think they were winning 2-1 first half, and we came on second half, and I think we won 6-2. Might have been 7, I can't remember. And we passed it, like, remember Alan Buckley way into the winger back, and we popped it all over. And he come in, and he gave us an absolute rollicking. I remember Stuart Burns, who was the physio, and turned out Burns, he said, right, you tell me what was the best football there. And I'm waiting for Burnsy to turn and go, second half, unbelievable. He went, first half, Gaffer, first half. And I thought, first half? Are you cockeyed? Are you steaming? Are you, I couldn't believe it. I thought, you kiss ass, you kissed his ass. That's what I thought. I thought, we murdered him by playing football. It was boring the first half. He couldn't say out. He said, lads, you do as I say, I'm the manager, or you've gone. You're all gone. That's you lot, second half. You do what I want, or you're gone. And you know what? He is the manager. So you've got to respect what he wanted. Rightly or wrong what you think, you've got to do what he wants. And we adapted to it. And he brought the right players in to play that system that first year. He brought Gary Jones in, who could hold it up, get hold of it, and he had good feet, Gaz. He had Andy Parkinson on one side and Redders. Now, Parker used to come and be the number 10 and used to be up, back, into Parky. Parky would go and slot Redders in, and Redders was away. So he had the right people. I played wing back. Christ, I was 37, 36, playing wing back. And I loved it. Because you sit me right, you're only coming back to 3/4 of the pitch, and that was it. That's all you're going to do. You stay there. And I scored more goals that year. I got involved with the play, and I thought, actually, it's all right. It was all right. We played some good stuff at times, but he didn't mess about with it at the back. No, get it? Yeah, Tom Huey, who could play. Tom Huey was a good left back, Tom. You got Croy. You had some Curtis Woodhouse could play. Curtis could play. So we had good players, but he also had lads who played, like I say, Croy Championship, Michael Reddy Championship. He had, who else was it? Andy Parkinson played Championship. Myself. You could go through the team. Stacey Caldecott. Yeah, at the time I think Stacey was there, I'm not sure. But he had good players, Ross. Playing in he fell unlucky with them players. He really did. Because when he come back the next time, he tried to do the same thing and it was useless. It was bloody awful, wasn't it? It's like a tennis.
Yeah, it was dreadful.
I know, Ross. I've met him a few times afterwards, even at Hereford, and he's good. I enjoyed probably playing under him. I really enjoyed it because he was a manager that gave me a lot of respect. As an older pro, he'd invite you in his office and you sit and have a cup of tea and he'd discuss tactics with you and he'd discuss like budgets with you and all this sort of stuff. So as I was getting older, he was sort of maturing me into the coaching side of it. He offered me a coaching role with it, and he was I can't knock him out. I really enjoyed it, and he was a great man manager. His man management with players, he was funny, he respected you, and you don't normally get that. Sometimes some managers just want to go in, manage the team, get away, and keep themselves away from the team. And maybe your assistant would be the in-between a little bit. But Russ was both. He did a bit of both, Russ. He was very, very intelligent man. Very intelligent. And people think about tactics and all that. He was good. He was good. He was thorough. But I just think the second time round, he tried to replicate what he wanted, and he just didn't have the quality player. Not what he had the first time round. I thought he felt lucky with it.
So do you feel like that 2005, 2006 team should have won promotion that year?
Yes. Yeah, 100%. We let teams off the hook towards the end. I think it was Rochdale, where they scored a corner from a direct corner, went straight in. Last minute, 94th minute, I think. And if we'd have won that game, we'd have been automatic. We'd have gone up. I think we might have needed a point. Maybe I think it was a point against Northampton the last game, but I don't even think we needed it because we've already got it, the 2 points beforehand, I think it was. And that was possibly one of the lowest points of my career, that Northampton game, where we were winning 1-0 and then they scored right at the end to send us into the playoffs. And
it was at the same time, Leyton Orient, I think, had scored as well, didn't they? They're literally within seconds of each other.
Yeah, I remember reading it, finding it out. I remember them scoring. I was stood in the 6-yard box when they scored it, and I was still stood in the 6-yard box by the time we kicked off. I hadn't moved it. It was just like so draining. And I think that was our opportunity. And I think the big thing was when we went to Celtic Manor for the playoff final, we did the wrong preparation. We did. It was that nice of an hotel. The food was unreal. It really was. And only my opinion, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
In my opinion, the lads were eating cakes. They were having all sorts, mate. You know what I mean? I'm thinking. And I got injured in the semis, so I couldn't play because I tore my thigh. So I was devastated. But when I'm there, I'm thinking, I would never eat a cake. I wouldn't have a cakes like that, 2 and 3 cakes, gatos before Wembley, before, you know what I mean? You're thinking, I wouldn't be doing it. So I say, what are you doing? What are you doing? Look at this, look at that. I'm thinking, no, it's the wrong thing. And then I think we went to the Millennium twice before we even played. People say, well, go and have a look at the stadium. So when you get there, you're not going to be in awe of it. So we went and watched, we went there first and seen it all without any crowding. Then we went and watched Leeds against, I think it was Leeds v Swansea, full house with the atmosphere. And you think, oh God, yeah, great, we'll eat tomorrow. And then when you got there, you were bored. It felt boring for me. I thought, there's no excitement and there's no adrenaline sort of thing with it. You know what I mean? Because you've been there 3 days in a bounce and you were sick of sight of the place. Yeah, when we went to Wembley, we didn't go and watch it. We didn't go and see it. When we turned up, it was that aura of, bloody hell, you're watching it on the telly, the FA Cup day when you was a kid. You see the bus going down the Wembley. We had all that. You see the fans with the flags. You thought, oh God, can't wait to get inside. You just couldn't wait to get in there and get playing. You know what I mean? And I think the difference between the two was massive, but in my opinion. So some of the other lads might say, no, that's what I wanted, that's what I like. But on the manager's side of it, the preparation of it was brilliant. You couldn't knock the detail he give the players. The players got everything. There was no excuses why we couldn't have won that game. And we'd already beat them in the league. We just didn't turn up. Some players, big players, that you'd expected to turn up on the day didn't turn up.
There was a question on it as well saying, did the players know that Russell was going to be leaving before the final, or was that sort of kept from you?
I didn't know.
Okay.
I didn't know. And to be honest, the first I heard of it was on the bus on the way back. But this what I'm talking about, the difference between the 98 and that squad. Good lads, don't get me wrong, good lads. And a majority of them boys were great lads. Parky, Jonah, still speak to him, Redders, Jonah at the back, Wits, you know. But when we got on the bus after that, to come back, there was 6 of us on the bus. All the way back to Grimsby from Cardiff, 6. How was that right? 6.
Yeah.
Manager not even on it. 6 lads, no manager on the bus coming back. We got to Wembley, I know we won. We didn't have a party. The first one, we didn't have a party. Straight back, we did when we got back to North Thoresby.
You had to get back to Carlisle, didn't you?
Well, man, I'm telling you now. But everyone was on that bus, buzzing. you know, the full lot, all coming back, all came back. Whatever, Kev Donovan and everyone come back. They didn't even live in Grimsby then at the time. At that time, Kev wasn't, I think he moved back to Leeds. Wayne Burnett, London. Wayne didn't stay down in London. Wayne Burnett came back with us. You know, he wanted to be part of this day. But that was the difference. 7 lads on the bus on the way back. Wasn't right for me. Didn't sit right for me, that. But then we get told Russell's going. And then Mildy might be going with him. And Rob Jones might end up going. And we're thinking, bloody hell, there's no one left. There was no one left. And then it was a rebuilding job. And, you know, it was just, I don't know, after that, the quality wasn't there. Quality wasn't there. We were just getting right back for right back. And this is what my argument was with a certain person later on.
Well, I think you can probably sort of, that was sort of the beginning of the slide for the club, really, wasn't it? We missing out on that promotion when we should have gone up, and then really, 15 years, 14 years since, it's been rubbish, really.
Yeah, well, I agree with you. That was the start, and it was the start for my sort of downfall in the way within the club that way, because of the calibre that were coming in. And I was like, I just couldn't get my head around certain things, what was happening. Like for instance, sake, if you're working in a fish factory, for instance, and you get 2 lads of fish filleters, and you have one lad on a certain amount of money and another lad on a lot less, and you wouldn't expect the same job. You'd expect a better job coming from the lad who's on more money at a fish filleter than that. You'd expect it clean and whatever. So what I'm trying to say is, he expected someone to be on, whoever was running it at the time, expected a certain player on rubbish money to be given the same job, the same quality as someone on a lot more doing the same position. And I thought, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. You can't have that. Footballers are different. You can't treat people this way and whatever it was. And it was just, that was the slide for me. It was the slide, and I could see it coming. And when Alan come, we had a good chat with Alan, and brilliant Alan. It was great, nothing to change, no different to me. And I just said, look, I called it. One year I called it. I just said, look, I've just had enough. I said, what? I said, I just can't see it. And he was going to resign one game at Torquay. I had to talk him round. Me and Stu Watkins said, no, you can't do that. He said, nah. He said, he got big. He was getting a bit of jip. And he said, Torquay, we went, that's it from him, packing in, I'm going. And I said, no, you can't do that. He said, what are you going to do? I said, I'm going. He said, are you going? I said, I'm going. He said, why are you going? I said, because of that. Because of that. And at the time, I couldn't get in now. I was sub. I said, and I can't even get in now. I said, so that's calling it for me. And he went, yeah, doing the right thing, did the right thing. So,
sorry, John, was that Torquay game when we went on the long run of not scoring just before the Boston game?
Yes, it was. And then we beat Boston, didn't we, 6? And I remember Alan calling me in at the time, because I was coming towards you, and I don't know if he thought my heart went in it. I don't know. And he said to me, look, you ain't going to be involved tomorrow. I said, what's that? He went, you ain't going to be involved tomorrow. He said, have the weekend off. Right? I said, weekend off? He went, yeah, spend it with the family and that, blah, blah, blah. And I went, you're having a laugh. And I would never answer back to Alan. No way would I, I wouldn't be undisrespectful to him. And I said, Gaffer, I've been a pro nearly 20 odd years. I said, I've worked all week for a game. And I said, and I'm not involved in it. That's your decision. I said, I'm not going to even argue with that. I said, because I said, but for you to tell me to have the weekend off, I said, I don't want to do it. I'm not going to do it. So I want to come on the bus. I said, if I can't come on the bus, I'll drive there. I'll drive the bus and watch the match myself. He went, that's what I want to hear. Sit next to me then, in the dugout, sit next to me. Blah, blah, blah. And fair enough, and I did. And I've been won 6-0, so you justified me not playing, but whatever. But I was more rare of him asking me to have that weekend off. You know, like and you ask players now, if they're not playing, have the weekend off. I bet they'll be off now. They'll be straight home, family, not even looking at the result. And I was like, no, I want to be part of it. I wanted to be still part of it, you know what I mean? And it meant what? And I probably would have still carried on till I was 40, because I was still fit, and I could have been a bit part player, sitting on the bench, bring the younger lads through, doing all of that. But that weren't me. I thought, if I can't hold my position down, and I can't still get around, or if I've got a young lad skipping past me shouting, see you, I'll be like, oh my, because that happened in a game. Some young lad, I think he played about 4 games, ran past me, went, see you, and I thought, see you? Who are you? You played 4 games, you little shit. You know what I mean? And I give him a whack afterwards for that, because I couldn't catch him. But, you know, and I just, that was the trigger. That was the trigger for me to say, right, your legs are gone. And if you can't do the job that you're meant to do, and you're not bringing it, I ain't gonna take money off people. I ain't gonna just con people and take a wage and just sit there and be, oh yeah, I played till I was 40 and sit in the reserves, or just come training and do that. I thought I couldn't do it to myself, and I couldn't do it to the people, well, the fans really. I couldn't con them. No.
Do you feel a bit more confident about the future now, given the changes that are going to be coming?
What, at the club?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's going to go big, mate.
I'm glad to hear it. I can certainly
just on that last season before we move on, John. Your last game at Gay Meadow was also the last game at Gay Meadow. Like, what were your main memories from that day?
I remember it clearly. Yeah, remember it clearly. But the home game was the Lincoln. I'd give me boots away, so I had to go and buy another pair. And I thought, bloody hell, I've got to pay £85 here for these pair of boots. I'm only going to wear them the bloody ones. So, and went there, and it was their last game. So it was all going to be about them, whatever. And I wanted to finish my career at home. I didn't want to finish it away. I wanted to finish it at home. And Alan agreed with that. So when I did it, then he said to me, look, you're going to have to play again. I said, I don't want to play again. I said, I wanted to play at home. And I said, he went, no, you're going to have to. Come on, son, help us out. And I was like, oh, yeah, all right, I'll do it. So I remember going down there, and it was quite a red hot day. And I think, who was the thingy, the centre half, Bennett played next to me. I was trying to help him out and whatever. And I think, I don't know if it was 2-2 or 1 each, was it? Was it a draw?
2-2, yeah.
2-2, yeah, 2-2. And then Alan brought me off, and I was fuming that were coming off. I went, you've asked me to bloody play. And it's off he went, listen. And obviously all the crowd was stood up. And when they were clapping us to go off, I thought it was one of their lads coming off. Their fans were up clapping, you see. All their fans stood up and were clapping, and I thought, oh, someone's coming off. And I was looking over my shoulder thinking, well, where is he? And she said, it's for you. Gaffer went, it's for you, you idiot. That's why I'm bringing you off. I said, oh, right, fair enough.
It was a special ovation that you got there, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. I'm not like an emotional person. I'm not. I just don't do that. I don't do emotion, really. And that brought a massive lump to me throat. It did. And then at the end, when I went and seen the fans afterwards, and all the lads pushed me forward, and they stepped back, to be fair. You know, I'll give them the boys at the time that they all step back and let me go to the fans. And then I give me boots away again. Yeah, that's cost me again, that has. I give them the boots again. And then I thought, well, I'm not going to play again, so you must laugh them. And then not long after, I ended up playing a little bit non-league for me mate. I needed them boots back. I thought, I could have had them boots. Could have played in them. But they were white ones. Oh, if you're going to go out, got to wear a pair of white boots, haven't you? So, yeah. Good memories. Good day. I wouldn't have changed the thing.
It's nice to think that Ben Davis was on the pitch at the same time.
Your incredible career at town, what stands out as your favourite memory, John?
Wembley way, 100%. That, I mean, obviously your debut, you always remember that. But Wembley, playing and that and winning and doing all the football side of it, that's unbelievable. But the big thing that stuck in my mind was when we were coming in the bus, going up the bus, coming into the changing rooms area, and you got all the fans. Because when you're a fan, I've been there myself, Middlesbrough and that, and you go down, you're in a mass, and it's brilliant. And you just thought, Christ, do the players really appreciate, do they know how good this is? You know what I mean? And then when you're on the bus, actually on that bus, and you're seeing them all, it gives you such an humble feeling, you know, how much you've achieved. That was an achievement. I remember after the game, me and Liverpool just sat in the bus and went, you know what, it's not bad for two lads from Middlesbrough, is it? You know, council estate, two lads. And he said to me, I could easily pack in now. Someone said, right, that's your last game today. What a way to go, Matt. He said, what a way to go. I said, yeah. I said, another 10. I said, did you nick your towel? Did you nick your towel with a badge on and all of that? we took all our kit, we stole all the towels, we took everything in there. It was all wrapped up. I had my trophy for man of the match wrapped up in my towel. I went, yeah, I've got my man's there, look at that. So, yeah, that was the best feeling, because to win promotion, to go to Wembley, to see it yourself, play there, but to take the club for the first time as well in that massive following, you know, 30,000, I think we took. I don't think we took any more than that anywhere else. So, yes, we've been back a few times and we've been successful, or we haven't. But to go the first time was always special.
I think as a fan, it was just the same as you, really. You know, you'd been there by that point. You'd been there 10 or 11 years. Was just, you never thought I as a fan never thought I'd see my team play at Wembley, and you know, you probably thought you'd never play there, and then all of a sudden you're there and you're back in 5 weeks.
That's unbelievable.
It was just an unbelievable time to be around the club.
It was, and we had good people though. We had good people running the club and everything. Like I said to you, lads lived in Grimsby. You know, you could look through the crowd and you were like, there was loads of just lads running down the front who you knew. You know what I mean? Just from Sunday league football. I remember going over to one of them, a couple of them, and I gave them the trophy, passed them over it, and then they were all touching it, and I went, give us it back. They could have ran off with the bucket.
Around it's gone.
And they were like, you know what I mean? I touched the trophy at Wembley, and you're giving someone memories, you know what I mean? You're creating memories for someone. I remember doing a warm-up, and I thought, I'm going to boot this ball into the crowd, and I hope he keeps this ball. You know, I keep it. If someone had kicked the ball into me in the crowd, I'm keeping that ball out at Wembley. It's a memorabilia, that. They kicked it back. They kicked it back to me. I'm like, no, I'm giving you. And I kicked it back to him. And he kicked it back again.
I've been playing keepy up with John McDermott at Wembley.
Honestly. And I thought, they've kicked it back twice. I thought, they're not getting what I'm trying to give them. But anyway, no, great memories. Great. Unbelievable. And I still watch it even now. When we're doing coaching, we say Boston and we get some new players in, and I'm trying to tell the wingers to come off the line and join in, and it's very similar to how we played a little bit. I send them the clips. I send them that 5-minute one off YouTube, it is, saying, look, Kev Donovan gets it at the beginning, bang, bang, bang. I send them that. I send them it, and the wingers get it and see it and go, unbelievable. Unbelievable, 2-touch passing this, isn't it? And I went, that's how I want you to play, like that winger, like Kev Donovan does. See how he joins in, see the forwards that we get. You see, look how they're holding it, the areas they're getting into, and they're seeing it, and then all of a sudden, we're replicating that. We're just replicating it all the time. So I use them little things, and then it's great. And then when you watch the fans and that, the atmosphere, the lads give us a bit of stick for it, like, you know what I mean? Say, no, you've only shown us it because you're on it. You know what I mean? And stuff like that. I went, yeah, but look at me shots. Look at me 2 shots.
Did you? What did you get for man of the match at that game?
It was like a massive bronze footballer on a big block. And normally what they do is the goalkeeper goes second. And Aidan Davison's like, go on, get out of the way. He says, I'm coming in. That's me. I go second. I went, no, Eddie, I've got to go. And he says, no. He says, I'm going. And I said, no, I've got to go. He said, why? And I said, so I've got man of the match, haven't I? And then when I'm going up there, I'm thinking, where's this trophy? Where is it? He hasn't given me it. And I think it was Matt Meneman. And he didn't have it in his hand. I'm thinking, Laurie, that trophy, where is it? Come on, I'm not asking for it. Anyway, he pulls it out and goes, oh, it's here. And when I got home, on the plaques, it's got 4 plaques on the outside like that. They spelt it wrong. They spelled Bournemouth. No. Yeah, Bournemouth was spelled wrong. I went, don't believe it. So I had to take the plates off, send them it back, these plates, and they sent it back. But on the first one, it was gold. It was gold plaques. And when they sent it back, there was silver. So the trophy's like a bronze colour, and I thought, freaking hell. And it was all like lopsided. So yeah, still got it. My missus has got it in the loft.
You're going to have to get that out for the charity game.
Oh, man.
Where did I ask? I think I asked the Guardian where the Auto Windscreen Shield was. I think it's in the museum in Manchester. I think
is it there now?
Yeah, because I thought we could get it back.
All right. Because I thought the club had one. I thought the club used to keep it in the old. I'm sure the club have got one,
Yeah, they've got a little mini one, haven't they?
Yeah, we all got mini ones. But I'm certain that big one was in the trophy cabinet in the director's box. In the director's lounge. I'm sure they got I'm certain they got a replica of it. Because you used to have to take it back. Because I think every year after that, it changed, didn't it? The shape of van or whatever it was. And whatever. I'm certain they've still got it, I'm certain they've still got it.
I think we're going to have to...
Sorry, go on.
No, I was going to say, we're just going to have to take a photo of that trophy cabinet now and then after March, just to make sure nothing goes missing.
Pictures and fittings.
It might be in someone's house.
Yeah, we'll check next to the Baroque art.
Yeah, wouldn't surprise me.
John, it has been an absolute pleasure. Is there anything anyone would like to ask before we go? I'd love to have you back because we've got nowhere near through an incredible career and all the questions, but I didn't expect half of those amazing stories you pulled out. No,
mate, it's been a pleasure, mate. I could talk all night, like you say, I could. And but that's it. Because you've been there so many years and you get met so many players, different things and that, stories and funny ones, but I think half of them would get locked up.
I'm just gutted you didn't. I'm just gutted you didn't get that night out in Italy, John.
Oh man, I could have been playing for Milan now, couldn't I?
Maybe not now, John, but
yeah. I don't know. AC Milan have some old uns in there.
I'm telling you now, that Paul Leonard one, he was playing till he was 40. He was bloody useless. He went to Crystal Palace, Lombardo, whatever his name was, down the lane.
And imagine it now: Baresi, McDermott, Maldini. Hey,
we signed a lad from Italy. He came over, Enzo. Remember him, Enzo?
Enzo Gambaro.
Oh my God, I'm not kidding you. You used to call you get a yellow jersey for having a stinker on a Friday.
Yeah.
We used to say, right, you're having an Enzo. That's how bad he was. He went on at Leicester as sub, and Brian Laws subbed him within 5 minutes. That's how long he lasted. 5 minutes. He couldn't kick a ball. He ended up signing for Juventus 3-year deal a week later. and I'm not lying. I could have made a living in Italy.
Yeah, I could well imagine.
He's selling ice creams now.
Oh man, that's been brilliant. I'll tell you something, John. You have perked me right up after the dross we've been watching over the last couple of weeks.
Oh mate, you'll be all right. You're all right. No, they'll be all right. They'll come good. I'm certain of it. I'm hoping anyway.
Yeah,
I don't want to be playing 754 league games for a non-league side, do I?
We've got to do it for John.
Yeah, do it for me. Christ, lads, come on.
At the end of the day, if we keep going the way we are, it'll be great to have you back as a right back in. You'll probably be assisting at Boston and also on the pitch for us.
Yeah. Play coach.
Fine by me.
Driving the coach. Yeah.
Great stuff. Thank you so much.
All right, mate.